everyone, welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are wrapping up the month of June in my reading journals, and we're also at that point of the year where it means another flip through of my journal will be needed. We'll be at the Q2 flip through or the mid-year flip through, whichever way you want to see it. So that video will be coming next, and it was imperative that I wrapped up June before I filmed that. So I did film them back to back. It's a little bit frustrating because I did also do the flip through with talking at the same time. So I'm now voicing this over after the fact, and if there's any little bits of repetition between the two videos, I do apologize. But this one's coming up first because we had to wrap up June before we could look at it all, right? So once again, we're at the start of my main reading journal for the year, and this is one of my favorite pages to fill in. It is the Days Read Pixel, and for the month of June, I had fabulous reading, probably the best reading month for June ever, and I read a total of 14 books. So unfortunately, that does mean it will have changed how the Days Read Pixels look, because a lot of this is all about trends and what I like to see happening each month, and it will have definitely changed it because I was reading a lot over the month of June. It's not a bad thing to have happen, but there were some trends that we were watching together throughout the year on this left-hand pixel graph, and I think we may have broken a couple of them just because of how much I read. But that's, like I said, not a bad problem to have. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year goes and how the graph will look like at the end of another quarter as well. But first off, let's just focus on this one here, this second quarter, and we're going to flip through a couple more pages now to another challenge page. And in my flip through, I do mention this page is not going very well. I will leave that for that video. I did end up adding one book over the month of June to the A to Z challenge, and I also was able to tick off one more book on my 12 Friends 12 Books. And then finally, I focused a little bit on the book club reads page because knowing I had to do that filming for the next video or the next flip through meant I did have to sort of organize this page because it was starting to get a little bit frustrating. I did run into a little bit of a problem with trying to lay it out. So in the end, it is 4 books per row, and I have fixed the top line off camera, but I'm just sticking in the covers that I did end up printing out for the rest of the book choices that we've made. And I am very excited to hopefully make this page work, because for the last couple of years I've always put in a book club reads page and it's never really worked out for me. So fingers crossed it takes shape by the end of it all. Now we're in the actual, I was just marking down the star rating for my June read, which was Watermoon for book club, and I gave it 3 stars. Now we're in June and the June pages, and we're going to be focusing on the reading log, one of my other favorite pages to look at each month when we do these wrap up videos, because I get to stick in all the covers and make the page look better than it already does, because frankly it's just a lot of jargon without any visual references to the books that were read. And now we get to add in all the covers. I really enjoy this part, and because I had 14 books and my page is only set up for 12, I did end up adding in a tip in, but that went really well. Interestingly, I did mess up between 2 books, so you might have seen that I put Greek myths down before Tusk Love, but they were actually meant to be the other way around in the book, and I just printed them out in the order that I read them. So that's a little bit of a slight error that I made, but I just decided to not fix it entirely in the book because it made less sense to move everything around and then as opposed to just putting the covers in a different spot. Anyway, like I mentioned, I read 14 books in June and I get to put in all the covers now. I've had a couple of people actually reach out asking for how I make these covers. Now I've sized them specifically for this section. That sizing may not work for you, but I will be able to do a new updated tutorial on how to do this in the near future. I also have had some questions about these little format stickers that I have. I made them myself. I used Canva to get the 3 little icons, and I then put them into my Cricut and into that software and did a print then cut. I can also show you how to do that if you have a cutting machine. The only thing is that it didn't calibrate correctly, and so I'm still using them because you can see the images correctly, but they were ever so slightly off on one sheet. Now moving into my other journal, and if you're new here, I have 2 journals that I work through each month. One is my main reading journal, which is the one we were looking at, and this one here is the reading data journal. This is basically the hub of the wrap-up videos every month. I am a big believer in stats and stat keeping around reading. Really enjoy it. Interestingly, I don't enjoy stats so much around other aspects of my life, but reading I really do. So I have the second journal where I have this first portion, which I call the global section. It covers more than 1 year. It's hopefully going to last 3 years, where I just store all the series that I have started and finished in this portion here. And then we have the 2025 portion of the journal as well, which we'll flip to pretty soon, but we've just got to add in the books that I have, sorry, not the books, the series that I have started over the month of June. We have now flipped all the way through to the 2025 section, and this is the year at a glance page. It's one of my favorites to just use as a visual. It doesn't actually have a great deal of function. I just have used this for the last 3 years, and I probably will continue it. It's just something that I really enjoy flipping through, and it's kind of, if you've done the bullet journal system, it's kind of a future log, but adapted to not represent something that's coming in the future rather than something that's already happened. Essentially, it's just a whole bunch of calendars for the year, and I have every book that I've read written down, and then I color code the boxes to, sorry, not the boxes, the circles to their star ratings, and then I add that color to the calendar where I finished the book. So it's just a little visual. It just makes me happy to fill it in and seeing it all come together. A lot of people have mentioned that they like this as well, but I do, for transparency, I do have to say, it doesn't have a function for me. It's just very much so a visual, just sort of like an opening to what the year has looked like. And I really like that. It kind of breaks up the stats from everything else, and it's like a soft opening to what's to come, I guess. But I think this is a well-used system by quite a lot of us that use reading journals. I've seen it in quite a few different journals now. So it's a really good fun time to just track them down really quickly, and then we can move on into the next segment of this book, which is the rereads and DNFs page. I didn't have any DNFs over June, which is a miracle, but I did have a reread of a novella that I really enjoyed, and then we can get straight into these stats visuals. So we've got 4 of them. There's this one here, which is books by ratings, and this is very evidently my star rating guide. So the color that you can see in the key on the left side of the screen represents the corresponding book star rating that I am putting down, and it is just numbered, so each book has a number in my overall reading count for the year, and that's how I do it for the next pages as well. That number continues through. So we're now looking at the books by genres, and I've put the key to the right side of the screen, and it is unfortunate that this page hasn't been as well utilized as the other 3 in this segment. I have gone into a bit more talk about this page in particular in my flip through, so I won't bring it up here, but I was just, yeah, it's just not working how I envisioned at the start of the year for it to, and that's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to work with it as best as I can until we get to the end of this year and I don't have to fill it in anymore. And then on the the right hand side of the screen is now the books by format section. I really like this page and the next one to come as well. I really enjoy seeing the stats come together, and I am going to be doing something different next year. I'm going to be doing the reading mosaic. Quite a few people are using this now, and I think it's fabulous. It's essentially a big square that's segmented into 4 triangles, and each triangle represents something. So I'm going to use it for the 4 that you see on these pages here: star ratings, genres, format, and length. And I am a little bit sad though, because I won't get the visual that I'm getting now, whereas I can just look at the page, this one, I can look at this page right here, the books by length, and just easily see that I do read a lot of books between 300 to 500 pages. They are represented by the gold and the red colors on the page, and I really like that I can see that. It's not information that I have taken in beforehand, because I've never had this page until this year, so I'm kind of sad about losing this one. So I'm not sure, because I'll obviously be able to see it visually in the mosaic, but it's something that I haven't done before, so I'm a little bit like, I don't want to lose something that I'm really enjoying. So I might end up repeating and having the mosaic, and then also having the books by length and the books by format pages. I don't know. I just really like those two a great deal. But as you can see, I did make a mistake. I accidentally missed a book off my when I was marking down the colors, and instead of just putting it at the end and out of order, because it didn't represent its number, I had to go back in and use a bit of sticker paper to cover up the 3 boxes that were wrong and fix that. Unfortunately, my camera did die, so you didn't get to see me fix it completely, but it's all good now, apart from some wobbly lines where I didn't use a ruler to draw around the box again. It worked out perfectly. This now is the Stats Omnibus. I absolutely love this page. It's so basic, but it's the best functional page in this entire journal, and I use it a lot. It's indispensable, especially when setting up for the quarter stats pages. I can just flip here and get all the information that I need to then transcribe onto the quarter stats page. So I had to do a quarter 2 stats page after wrapping up the month of June, and I was able to utilize that table to my advantage by getting all the information and then calculating it all up. So I highly recommend having a giant ugly table. I know it's not the nicest page to look at, but it is functional, and that is what a lot of journaling is about as well. We're now on to the last 2 pages before the stats pages, which sounds weird because I've been talking about stats this whole time, but you'll get what I mean. And it's the library savings and my eArc station. So the library savings, I accidentally made a mistake again. I wrote down the wrong number, so I had to use some more sticker tape, and cover that up. And then everything else should be okay on this page here. It is the eArc station. I like to track how many arcs I receive, read, and where I get them from, as well as my percentage on NetGalley every month. And I have only started doing that this year, and I really enjoy it. So I will definitely be continuing on with using this system. These 2 pages here are new to me for 2025, and I really like them. And here's what I mean by the stats pages, because we now have to do a June stats page. And I'm really glad that I took my stats pages out of my main journal and added them to this journal for 2025, because it's working having all the information in the one place. I like the cohesive nature of having them back to back, and that I'm just using the same 3 color systems over and over. I did change up my quarter 2 stats layout from the one that I did for quarter 1 because that was my first time attempting it and I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm happier with how things are looking in my second attempt. But unfortunately, I didn't film that for you all because I found it a lot easier to film it, not film it, and just focus on it because, again, I wanted to change it up. Sometimes it's really difficult for me to film content when I'm trying something new. So that is something that I'm going to find a little challenging later this year when we start setting up for 2026, because normally I set that up all off camera and then do like a flip through, but this year I am going to attempt to set it all up bit by bit with you all. Anyway, we're now going to go onto the stats page here for June, and this is the part where everything ends up looking pretty functional and bland, and just it's a hub for information. So now that we've reached this point of the video, I guess I should start sharing some of that information with you all, since June was a fabulous reading month and I have a lot to say about it. And we're almost at the end of this video. So I mentioned before I read 14 books. My favorite read of the month was How to Find a Nameless Fae by A.J. Lancaster. I kind of knew this was going to be my favorite read because I really enjoy Lancaster's way of writing. It's full of wit and charm, and it's just a really warm, cozy way of writing. And even though this was a different world for the author, as opposed to the established series of 𝓲𝓷 that I read and consumed a couple of years ago, I still like it's still got the similar charm this writer has. So I knew I was going to really enjoy this. It was a tie-up between this book and also the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent, because I really enjoyed that one as well. And in the end, I went with A.J. Lancaster's book just because it made me smile a lot and I really enjoyed being on the art team for that. So aside from that, the lowest rating I had was 3 stars, and I would call that a pretty good win. Like I mentioned, 14 books in 1 month is not necessarily on par for me. This year I've been averaging about 10 a month, so it's good to have a bit more read and getting closer to my goal, because I was a little bit behind in my goal. So let's get into those core stats. For books read, I said I had 14. I read 5,166 pages. My average was 4.3 because I had 6 5-star reads, which was amazing. I listened to 29.7 hours of audiobook. I read 4 arcs. I didn't DNF anything. I either received or purchased 6 books. It was my birthday over June, so I was very grateful to have received such lovely gifts for my birthday. I had 8 library hires. 8 books were also part of a series. 6 were standalones. I participated in 1 readathon. I read 1 book for book club. I did 1 buddy read and I had 1 reread. I mentioned as before I didn't DNF any books, so that area of the page was blank. Then there was the sampled section. I'm not sure why it took me so long to come back to this video, but here we are now moving. Sorry about that. I sampled is a section that I put down for books that I didn't get past 10% in, and I did have 2 of those. And for genres read, I had a little bit of a change up over June. I did read 3 romances, 2 fantasy, and 8 romantasy books. But I also had a non-fiction because I read a book all about Greek mythology with my sister, and it was a really great time spent, and it was really cool that I got to do that with her. So I did add that to my tally because we spent a lot of time on it. Like I mentioned, for star ratings, I had 6 5-star reads. I had 5 4-star reads, 1 3.5 star, and 2 3 stars. For social media, I did slacken off a little bit because I probably was reading a lot more. So my numbers were very low compared to other months. So I had 13 normal photos, 8 graphic photos, 5 reels, and I did 2 YouTube videos. I acquired most of my books from the library over June, which I am intentionally trying to focus on instead of buying books. And the most read pacing was medium paced books, which is very typical for me. I don't tend to read anything but medium, and sometimes the odd fast paced book. I've just gone and stuck the collage of all the books down the bottom there, and we're now at the final flip through. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I hope that your reading month of June went well, and I hope you're looking forward to the next 6 months of 2025, because it is crazy that we're this far into the year already. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this book, at the beginning of this video, not a book, I will be sharing my flip through of the first 6 months with you all in another video very soon. And we are now done with the reading data journal. We can move in and do the final flip through for June in my main reading journal. And until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading or journaling. I hope you're doing well, and I will hopefully see you in some other videos other than the same repetition of setting up for a month and wrapping up for a month in some videos very, very soon. Bye everyone.